Hey, hello. It has been a little while since we've had some videos on here on YouTube, but this is the channel for Mount Pleasant Christian Church's middle school ministry for students in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. My name is Mike Sheely. I'm the middle school pastor. We realized that at this time we've got a lot of students who are traveling for fall break, some who are quarantined because of who they were sitting next to in school, some that are sick. And some that just can't be here yet, or families aren't comfortable being back here yet. And so we're experimenting with making this video available again on our YouTube channel. It'll be a little bit different now. We'll do the games when it works, but sometimes like today, we're just going to kind of reference what we've done. This will be go live. Instead of Thursdays, it'll now go live at 10:25 a.m. on Sundays. I'll explain that in a minute, but we're glad you are watching right now. Our normal services are Saturdays from 6 to 7:10 p.m. and Sundays from 9:15 to 10:25 a.m. at the Student Ministry Center at 407 North Bluff Road in Greenwood. This video we're going to start releasing on YouTube on Sundays at 10:25 a.m. If for whatever reason you're watching this and you're not at church, then we're hoping that you as a family will be gathering to worship with our online service at 11. And so you can watch this at 10:25. It'll be less than a half hour, and then you can go to live.mpcc.info, and at 11 o'clock you can join in the songs and the prayer and the teaching and preaching and all that's a part of our main church service at 11 o'clock as a family. For today, like we've done before, you need to have a Bible, either a print Bible or the Bible app, and then either a pen and paper. That'll help with a little activity we're going to do throughout the lesson today. And then you can bring up the Bible event notes in the Bible app. And that'll kind of help you where you can take care of those as we go through the teaching. Again, any problems finding those notes, we have a link to kind of explain how that works at mpcc5678.com/online. On that page, we also have instructions for how to join our album on Cluster. If you haven't done so yet, it's a way that we can kind of share photos throughout the week, especially if you're 12 years old or younger, which a lot of our 5th, 6th, and some of our even 7th graders are. It's a safe way for you to engage with some of our content, and we'll explain more later of what's going to happen. But if you're not already in our album, follow the information on that page to get connected, and that will help you when you're remotely or distantly or social distantly connecting with our services. All right, we're getting ready to dig into our first week of our comparison series. Get your Bible and Bible app ready, get your paper and pen, your notes, whatever you're using ready, and we're going to get into week 1 of this or that. Okay, so this or that, it's a comparison, and sometimes it can be a game. So we're going to start out today with a little bit of a game and see where you land. Now, in person, we're going to do this, and everybody can kind of see who in the room picks one or the other. To do this online, you simply can pick, or if other people are watching with you and your family or some friends, you guys can kind of see how everybody lands, and you can go on the cluster and you can type in which one you would pick and see how you compare to other people. So here's our first one. Are you a book person or a movie person? Would you rather read the book and imagine everything yourself, or would you rather see the movie and just kind of enjoy it and not have to read? Which one are you? All right, second one, Pop-Tarts or toaster strudels? Pop-Tarts, flaky, quick, ready to go for you as soon as it comes out of the toaster. Toaster strudel, frozen, but once you heat it up and you get that flaky, soft pastry with the filling, you get to put the icing on yourself. I prefer toaster strudels, but I do enjoy Pop-Tarts. Which one is your favorite? Okay, how about pizza or ice cream? Now, yes, some of you are like me. We love both of these. But if you had to pick one, which would you pick? For me, I'm going with Team Pizza. So let me know where you are on Cluster and see which one you pick. How about this one? YouTube or Disney Plus? You're watching this video on YouTube, but how much content do you like on Disney Plus? I mean, it is October, and Mandalorian Season 2 is coming out, so I'm kind of leaning that way. But obviously, we're on YouTube and we enjoy content. So which one would you pick if you had to pick one of these two? How about this one? Early bird or night owl? Do you love getting up first thing and you're ready to go in the morning and wonder why nobody else is up yet? Or are you the night owl that's like, please don't make me go to bed. I want to stay up, play games, hang out. I'm ready to go. I'm alert. This is my time of day. Which one would you pick? And how about console games or mobile games? So console games are Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. That includes the Switch. I know you can take it up and it's mobile, but it is a console game. And then with mobile, we mean like your iPad, your iPod, your phone. It's a game that you play on a device wherever you are. That device's main purpose is not necessarily gaming. So, which one's your favorite? Console game or mobile game? And then it is fall. So what's your favorite flavor in the fall? Are you a pumpkin spice person or are you caramel apple? I like pumpkin pie, but I don't like pumpkin spice in my coffee or hot chocolate or anything. But I do love caramel apple. I mean, you can give me some Granny Smith apples and a bowl of caramel, and I'm calling it healthy snack, and we're good to go. So that's my pick. Let me know what you pick on Cluster. That's our little comparison, just kind of seeing when you have to choose this or that. What would you pick if you had to pick one of those? I'm guessing that probably by this point in your life, you have studied different systems for measuring, right? Like in Europe, they use the metric system, meters, centimeters, those kind of things. It's based on 10. In the United States, it's feet and inches and yards, and it's based on the 12 inches is the way things go. It's the whole different deal. So depending on where you are, it matters, right? Like if you're going to cook a recipe and it's in metric and you don't have metric utensils, it's not going to work real well, right? It's made to use those measurements. Or if you're traveling to go see somebody, maybe over fall break, and all the directions are in miles, but you're traveling somewhere that uses kilometers, you've got to convert that or you're not going to be able to figure things out. Well, no matter where you are in the world, there is one way of measuring that everybody seems to use, for good or for bad, and that's comparison. Comparison is when we measure something about ourselves against something about someone else. Okay, so we measure something about us against something about someone else. It's the way we measure this in our lives against that in someone else's life. For example, you get a new pair of shoes and you think, this pair of shoes is awesome. And then the next week, somebody else has a new pair or a new pair becomes available from the company you bought it from, and all of a sudden you want that pair of shoes. And even this week, as this video is going live, you may have this phone, and it's the newest phone that's out there, but you know that that phone is coming out later this week, and so yours is going to be outdated. So you compare, and maybe you don't like it as much. Or maybe you look at like where you live, or the clothes you have, the friends you have, and you think, wow, this is pretty good. It's not like that other people have, and you think higher of yourself. So comparison can be, man, my this, well, this is hard. My this doesn't measure up with their that. Or it can be, actually, their that isn't as good as my this. Either way, it's not a good situation to be in. So how about this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you think most students, not just you, most students your age, wish they had what somebody else had? Do you think it's a 1? Not very often. Or do you think it's a 10 all the time, or somewhere in between? Now, in person, everyone's going to kind of hold up fingers and tell us how many they think they have. I can't see your fingers at home right now, which is good because that'd be creepy. But you can go on the cluster and share with us your number and your reason of why you think this is true. A little bit more personal. What's one example of something a student your age might wish they had that someone else had? In other words, if you think that people really do like wish they had what somebody else had, what's one of those things that they would wish? Or what's something that you wish you had that somebody else had? You can go ahead and pop that on cluster. You can write it down for right now and go back to that later. Why do you think we want what other people have sometimes? What is it that makes us, well, we're not content with what we have and instead we want to have what somebody else has? Why do you think that is? Well, here's the deal. No matter what the reason, we tend to think that the other person's stuff is better than ours, or that we're better than they are, that our life is not as good as theirs, and all these thoughts are not true. They're false, they're lies, they're deception for us. It's a problem for us, and it's not good. We don't need to be thinking about things that aren't true about us or about other people, and that's what comparison causes us to do. We look at somebody else, and we don't always see the full picture. We don't always know the behind-the-scenes story, and we think that things aren't true. The truth, though, is that our this will never measure up to their that. When we compare, usually we want what somebody else has. We want to be the kind of person somebody else is, and it's never going to measure up. Or if we go the prideful way of things, we just think that, man, we are so great, but there's always somebody who's a little bit better, and we can never measure up to it. So the results we see, sometimes disappointment. Like either disappointed that, wow, I'm never going to be that person. I'm never going to have that thing. I'm never going to have what's newest or good enough. Or disappointment that, wow, I kind of thought I could help that person be as good as me, and it turns out it's not going to work out that way. Or you get frustrated that why can't I get that? Why is it that I can't have what somebody else has? Why can't I have the newest thing? Why is it when I buy tech, the very next day the newer model comes out and the one I bought goes on sale, right? Frustration. Or there's also hopelessness. If you know what, my life's a mess. It's never going to be as good as somebody else's. Or there's just no way for me to dig out of this problem. Like when it comes to that, it's hopeless. I'm never going to be there. Or like I said, we get this pride issue and we get motivated, right? Like, okay, if I work hard enough, I can have that. I can have what other people have. My this really can be that. Like I can get there. And motivation, hard work is good. But when you're motivated by comparison, that's bad because all the hard work you do is going to frustrate you because someone's always going to have more or better or newer, and you're never going to reach a spot where you're content and happy, and you're seeing things through a messed up set of lenses. You're seeing things through the eyes of comparison instead of truth. We'll unpack that in a little bit here. You might also feel good, like, hey, you know what? I do have the latest and greatest. I do have the nice stuff. I do get to travel on vacation for fall break. I do get to whatever. I'm not like other people who are kind of stuck in their home and can't do stuff, or they had to have like the 2 years old hand-me-down from somebody else's uncle who upgraded, and you're looking down on people that God made in his image, and that's not good either. You're feeling good at their expense is not good. It never takes you anywhere. When you compare yourself to somebody else, it never leads to anywhere good. It never ends up being a wise idea. It never is something that helps you be in a healthy place in life. So let me ask you a few questions. You can jot a few answers down or just kind of think about it, and then when we're done with this, hop on cluster and share with us your answer. What's one word you would use to describe how it feels to want what somebody else has? We just went through 5 different kind of words. Does one of those fit you, or is it a different one that's how you feel when you want what somebody else has? And what's one word you would use to describe when somebody else wants what you have? How would you describe it? Maybe you got siblings. This happens all the time. How do you describe it when somebody else wants what you have? Well, we're going to look today at some advice from a guy named Paul. We've read his letters before. He wrote some letters, several letters, at least 4 that we know of, to the church at Corinth. 2 of those are in our Bible. That's a whole other story. We can explain that later. But in 2 Corinthians, if you find that book, we'll be in chapter 10, verse 12 today, where Paul deals with this comparison. So read along with me. Oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dare say that we are as wonderful as these other men who tell you how important they are, but they are only comparing themselves with each other, using themselves as a standard of measurement. How ignorant. So Paul's talking here about some false teachers, people that are teaching things that are not true, and they are really puffed up at how good they are, and they compare themselves to others, and Paul's like, well, we're not like that. And his point is in the context of false teaching, but that comparison, he's saying, that's an ignorant way. It's a bad standard of measurement. They're using the wrong measurement. And that's what we do. When we compare ourselves to other people and either feel less or feel greater, we're using the wrong standard of measurement for our life and how well we're doing. That doesn't really tell us what kind of a person we are or are becoming. A little bit later in the letter, Paul said this: when people commend themselves, it doesn't count for much. The important thing is for the Lord to commend them. Paraphrase called The Message translated this way: what you say about yourself means nothing in God's work. It's what God says about you that makes the difference. Man, that's so true. If I compare, I'm always going to be frustrated, disappointed, hopeless. Sometimes I'm going to feel like this pride of I'm better than others. But if I look at what God says about me, that makes the difference, which is then the question, so what does God say about me? Well, God doesn't compare you to others. That's our big point this week. God doesn't compare you to others. And how do we know that? We know that from looking at Jesus' life. We know that from looking at how he treated people, that he didn't see them through the eyes of comparison. He saw them through the eyes of God's love. He wanted to help people who were outcast. He loved both the poor and the rich. And there were people who were poor and rich who were both despised, and Jesus loved them and ate dinner with them and healed them and helped them. That was part of his ministry, and we're supposed to live like Jesus. So how does it make you feel to know that God doesn't want you to be like anybody else? How does it make you feel to know that when God looks at you, he sees you, not a comparison of you compared to somebody else? Think about that. That's worth taking some time to think and write some stuff down. The truth is that God doesn't compare you to others, and that's great, but we've got this problem. What can we do to stop comparing ourselves? Right? It's not easy. Social media, the media is always comparing. How many likes do you have? How many followers do you have? How many friends do you have? Where did you go on vacation? Did you tell us what you did? All these things are a comparison that in and of themselves can be okay, but when we make them a comparison game, it's unhealthy and it's bad for us. Well, there's a whole book of wise sayings called Proverbs in our Bible, and we're going to look at one of them today and how it can help us with this comparison trap. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." Your heart determines how your life's going to go. We talk about our heart, we know it's like an organ that pumps blood, but we talk about the heart symbolically, it's the seat of our emotions, it's how we feel. It determines where we go in life. We need to guard it. Well, I looked up a couple of words and these emoji came up, a castle and a heart. And as we share things this week and talk about this, I want you to remember those two symbols, whether you text them to a friend or use that hashtag with a castle and the heart, that's a symbol for guarding your emotions. And I'm going to give you 3 different ways that you can guard your emotions starting today, starting this week. Number 1, pay attention to your feelings. When you catch yourself feeling disappointed or frustrated or hopeless, what's causing that? Look at those times and see if there's something you can do to make a change and remove yourself or stop that comparing and live a healthier life. Like, look at those emotions. And then find out what's fueling them. When you catch yourself going, gosh, I'm so frustrated right now at somebody else who's not even there with you, what's causing that? Because you saw them post that they got some new clothes or shoes, or you saw where they went on vacation, or something that just you compared yourself to and it was different. What's fueling that? And then figure out, is it something that you have control over? Can you remove yourself from it? If it's social media, it's creating a problem, take a break for a day. Take a day off of social media so that you're not caught in the comparison trap. If it's because that you're hanging around some friends that are always comparing, maybe take a break from that friend group for a few days. Figure out what it is, and maybe it's something that you don't know how to remove yourself from. You don't know how to deal with what's fueling your emotions. Well, I'll let you know that on Sunday nights from 6 to 7:30, we have small groups that meet at the church. And in that small group, you meet with just students that are your age and your gender, and you have a chance to build some close relationships with your peers and with a couple of adults to help you have a safe place to process this, where they can help you deal with what's fueling your emotions. And if you need more help, we've got a great partnership with some counselors at Southside Pastoral Counseling, and I put a link for them in our video description. If you need to seek some help from people who know how to help you with your emotions, that's a great place to go to. You should never feel ashamed about asking for help. We all need help from somebody else at one time or another. When it comes to our emotions, sometimes we can begin to identify what's going on, but we don't know how to change it. And that's where counselors can come in, and these therapists can make a huge difference in helping you. And they are Christian counselors, so they will pray with you and help you and make that a part of their treatment. But just don't be afraid to seek help, because it's so important for you to live that kind of healthy life that God designed you to. And then speaking of that, the third thing here is celebrate what you do have. Take a moment to just write down a list or a brainstorm of like, what is it you're thankful for? What do you like about yourself? What do you like about your family, your community, where you live? What kind of things in your life would you put down in a highlight reel of these are some of my favorite moments that I like to think about and relive in my life? And when you develop that kind of gratitude and thankfulness and you celebrate those good things, that kind of helps to push out those negative feelings, that frustration, that hopelessness, that comparison. Stop and just see, what has God been doing in your life? What kind of people are you thankful for? And if you want to take the next move, go beyond just being thankful and go, you know what? Are you thankful for a specific person? Write them a note and let them know. So often the people that make the biggest difference in our lives never get to hear the difference that they make. So take some time to write that down and share it with them. Or maybe take a list of all the things you're thankful for and put it up in your room to remind yourself when you get disappointed or frustrated or hopeless that you have some things to be thankful for. There are some highlights in your life. That positive thing, whether you're helping somebody else out, encouraging somebody, or just realizing what you had to be thankful for, can help you to fight off the comparison trap. God doesn't compare you to others. I hope that you catch that today. Hope that you understand how true that is. But I also hope that you don't just stop by just watching this video. I hope you do take an action step. So this is our last question. This week, what's one thing you can do when you're tempted to focus on what you don't have or what you aren't? So what we want to know is, when it comes to the this versus that, what are you going to do this week to avoid that comparison trap? Look through our things we talked about, look through these notes, and write down what's one specific action step. And if you want to be so bold, go on the cluster and share that today to help other people know what you're doing, maybe give them some ideas, but also for some encouragement and accountability for you to follow through on that. Okay? That is week 1 of this or that. We're going to deal with this through 2 more weeks to kind of help you with comparison. But let me pray for you. Then I have a couple closing thoughts before we shut this off. God, I thank you that we can get connected even when we are distant physically, that we have tools like media and the internet to share these kind of videos and resources. I pray that the students, wherever they're watching this from, would be reminded that when you see them, you look through the eyes of love. And help them this week to take what we've talked about and to put it into practice as they try to stop comparing and start being grateful and thankful for what they do have in their lives. And if they need that kind of emotional help, that they would reach out to their parents, their small group leader, or they would seek to get some real counseling to help them with those emotions, to live the healthy life that you want us to. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. Hey, as we wrap up here today, just a couple things. First of all, one of the great things we have right now is the Bible reading plan that goes along with this series. You can jump in there and read 21 days, so for 3 weeks, and work through the idea of comparison a little bit at a time every day. And the best way to do this is to get with some friends and say, hey, let's do this reading plan together. And so connect with your friends in the Bible app and do the reading plan together. And what will happen is each day you will see what they've read, they'll see what you've read, and you can leave comments where you guys can have an ongoing conversation, a group chat, if you would, about what you're studying to help you get out of the comparison trap and live the kind of life where you're not worried about this or that, but you are focused on living more like Jesus. Remember that we have these stations on Cluster. In person, we've got Post-it notes and Sharpies. People are writing things down. But you actually can go on here and Cluster and leave answers to questions that we've been talking about, including that action step and the game at the very beginning. And then remember, we've got services in person at church, Saturdays at 6, Sundays at 9:15 for students in grades 5 through 8 at the Student Ministry Center. And then this video that you're watching, it premieres on Sundays at 10:25 a.m. You obviously can watch it anytime, any day, but if you watch it at 10:25, then you as a family can hop on to live.mpcc.info at 11 o'clock, and you can be a part of a worship service together after this is done. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. We're thankful that you're involved with our middle school ministry. And again, if you have something we can be praying about for you, if you have a question you need to have answered, or you just want to reach out and say hi, we have a connection form linked in the video description for you to do just that. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.